Hello, my Bill 1000 Nation. How's everyone doing today? Hopefully, everyone's having a great day. If not, I hope it gets better from here. All right. I do not have my cup of coffee today. My belly is doing some. I don't know what it's doing, but if I drink my coffee today, I know I'm going to be in the bathroom all day long. So today, I've switched it off for a Sprite Zero. That's right. I'm drinking me a soda pop. All right. This one is Coffeehouse Crime. It is titled, She Killed Her Friends Because God Told Her to. I Stop letting me pick out videos. I forgot I even. Mm, mm. Let's go ahead and get into this story. Go ahead and turn the lights down low. Put on something comfy. Cuddle up with someone special. Let's get. Uh,
Religion comes in many forms with various levels of commitment. For some, that means repenting our sins and praying twice a day, and for others, it could mean an annual pilgrimage. But what would you do if you received a message from God to murder two of those close to you? And if this request came in the form of a text message, would you believe it?
okay, first, I ain't kill no one without a legitimate reason. So if God wants me to kill someone, he needs to tell me exactly why I'm killing them. Just saying. For two, nah, nah. That's too no. That's some roaming charges right there. God didn't get in touch with me with no text message. Toast. I would believe that. I would believe if hey, Bill 5000, please kill such and such. Love God on a piece of toast. I'd believe that. Text message, no. That's Roman charges out the ass, bro. I'm going to hell. Shit.
Since I'm here making a story about it, the answer was, unfortunately, yes. But what exactly happened to Helena and Daniel, and where did the
Say, she shouldn't have listened. And if it don't come on a piece of toast, it ain't no. It's like them scam callers. Can't trust that.
these text messages come from? Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, folks. My
I swear, every time he does that, it reminds me of the Truman Show.
name is Adrian, and welcome back to another video by Coffeehouse Crime. Now, as we go through today's story, I want you to carefully analyze Helga's behavior, and come to your own conclusion on how many people he actually killed. But before getting into today's video, I'd love to introduce you to today's sponsor, HelloFresh. General question, but do you have a packed schedule? HelloFresh has meals covered with a weekly selection of over 30 recipes and more than 70 convenience items, all delivered to your door.
You're wrong, they really do. And they even have like vegan options and stuff like that, like Mediterranean diet options, vegan options, low gluten, no gluten. Like, yeah, they're pretty good.
So for dinner today, I'm cooking herb-crusted salmon fillet with cheesy dauphinoise, tender stem and sugar snap peas. Looks like it'll take about 35 to 40 minutes to cook, and looks really good, so let's give it a go. After being recommended by a friend, I've been using HelloFresh a lot recently. It's been great to have alongside a hectic work schedule, and it's honestly
I can't have that much white in my kitchen. There'd be shit everywhere. No, I need like a tie-dye color kitchen. Like, I'm a messy cook. It tastes amazing. Mwah. Chef Boyardee Billy.
been a godsend while moving home. It works with your schedule, their plans are flexible, and you can change your meal preferences, update your delivery day, and even change your address with just a few taps on the HelloFresh app. Fit and wholesome recipes make it easy to eat well without sacrificing flavour. So
I was wondering what the hell that was that he was stirring up. I was like, what? What? Okay. It's Christopher the salmon. I mean, no, I do not eat meat anymore, but I will not lie. That looks like it's going to be amazing.
You can maintain your goals and feel good about your food choices.
He's like, I want the fish.
To add to this, their recipes include pre-proportioned ingredients that mean less prep for you and less wasted food, and nearly all packaging is recyclable. So if you're interested, head over to Hello.
If someone put that little bit of proportion of food in front of me, I'd bitch slap them. I like to eat. I'm not a big, I don't eat breakfast in the mornings. I've never been able to. It makes me very, bleh. But I like my supper. Breakfast or supper is amazing. So yeah, I have that. But I like to have a hearty portion for supper. And then I eat supper very early. And then I have a snack around 7 o'clock, which is usually like, I usually cut up like some tomatoes, some green onions, some baby spinach, some Greek Kamala olives, some green olives, covered in a little bit of Italian dressing. Stir it up, and that's my snack. Pretty good. And I usually have like some sort of cracker with it or a little piece of bread or something. But if someone came at me with that for supper, I'd be like, hell yeah, where's the rest of it?
Fresh.com and use code Coffeehouse Crime 16 for 16 free meals across 7 boxes and 3 free gifts. Once more, go to HelloFresh.com and use code Coffeehouse Crime 16 for 16 free meals across 7 boxes and 3 free gifts. Thank you to HelloFresh for sponsoring today's video. Thank you guys for supporting us creators. And now let's begin today's video. Pull up a seat, grab yourself a coffee, and sit back. This is the case of Helga Fossmo.
Shoot, I'd love to have a sponsor through HelloFresh. I love to cook. I do. You can't tell because I've lost a lot of weight, but at one time you would believe me.
Here's another
Holy Bible with a revolver. I love it. Reminds me of Shotgun Preacher.
international story. Our case today takes us to a cold and mountainous land found in Northern Europe, specifically the beautiful country of Sweden. It's well known for having gorgeous lakes, breathtaking snow-tipped
Hey, we got some subscribers from Sweden. Y'all should enjoy this one, hopefully. Hey, if not, y'all might know a little bit more than what I know about it. So if there's anything he doesn't cover in this video, and you want to tell me, you let me know. Especially Wanda.
mountains and vast ancient forests that enshroud over half of the country. Due to its natural
If you're ever wondering who I'm talking about, have this amazing subscriber, Wanda Black, and comes in like ham on some research. Because I always tell everyone I love knowing more information. She brings out more information. Most definitely, I'll have comments. You'd be getting out my reading glasses, and oh yeah, I love it though. I love it.
beauty, Sweden is extremely popular amongst hikers, backpackers, and those of the wanderlust for nature.
That is
And to help
beautiful.
protect its natural beauty, Sweden is well known to be a nation of recyclers. In fact, to keep their recycling plants running, the Swedes have resorted to importing waste from other countries to help out, and more than half of the country's energy is renewable. Today we're zoning in to a tiny community in the far east of Sweden. Welcome to the small village of Newtby, folks. It's so small that it only has one convenience store, one restaurant, and a church. The rest of the town is populated by wooden houses.
I want to live in a place like that. It's like Mayberry. off the Andy Griffith Show. One stop sign, a park bench, one restaurant, one grocery store, one gas station, one church. Oh, that sounds amazing. I'd love it.
Is scattered between trees. Now, let's be honest, we all know that insane religious things often happen in these tiny communities, and this story will be no different. As here in the
That was a beautiful scenery and landscape. Like, oh my god.
small village of Nudby, we find Helga Fossmo. Helga was born on July the 27th, 1971 in Kristinehamn, a locality found in central Sweden. He was one of 5 siblings and came from a relatively large family, and his family were actually not religious. I say this because usually most of these stories begin when religion is introduced at a very young age. But Helga would voluntarily join the church of his own accord at the age of 12 years old. He joined the church's youth group and would later claim that this was when his life truly began and he was saved. Helga was an active participant in the Church of God, regularly participating in congregations and events. And in 1988, at the age of 17, he took up a job at a cafe for Christian youth. It was in this moment, and while here, that he met the first love of his life, Helena Johansson. Their relationship progressed rather quickly, and they married soon after turning 18. Shortly after this, they had 2 children while living in Kristinehamn. The family of 4 lived happily, for now. However, after a fateful encounter in 1993, they would actually relocate. Their relocation was prompted by an encounter, and this encounter was with a very important woman to today's case. And the woman's name was Isa Valdo. Isa was the leader of a Christian sect in Nudby, and she often went from town to town, convincing young people to uproot and move to join the church. Kind of sexist, but Isa was so influential to Helga that he arrogantly told her this was the only time he had ever listened to what a female pastor had to say. Unknowing told
That was very sexist. But maybe in that area and in such a small community, that's just how it was. You had the male preachers and priests and deacons and all that stuff, and maybe it just, I don't know, but yeah, that was sexist as all get up.
Most all of them at the time, but these young people were actually entering what could only be described as a religious cult. And this would also be the case for the Fossmo family. Isa started persuading them in 1993, and by 1997 she had convinced them to make the move to Nudby.
Well, fuck, it's a religious cult. I mean, they're worshiping God, right? Like, can...
Everyone in this settlement had their jobs and responsibilities, many of them relating to the church. This provided a strong sense of community, and almost everyone in the town knew of each other. Naturally, Helga took up his previous role as a pastor. However, his teachings were seen as rather unorthodox. He would talk about taboo subjects like sex and death, and take a rather radical approach to his teachings.
Vad är du rädd för? Vad kan hända? Ja, det absolut värsta som kan hända, det är att du dör. Det är väl inte det är väl det bästa som kan hända. Det absolut värsta som kan hända är att du inte kommer till ditt hemland. Vad gör det om du dör? Om du vet att du har ett hemland. Är vi på väg hem? Ja, vi är på väg hem. Vill vi hem? Ja, vad vi vill hem.
2 years after arriving in Nudby, and after having a
Heck, what was wrong with that? Like, I mean, I didn't understand what he was saying, but I was reading it. I don't... How there?
third child, the Fossmo family decided to hire themselves a nanny. The nanny was Sarah Svensson, who had just moved to Nudby after also being inspired by Isa. Sarah was raised in a Christian household. However, her severe allergies stopped her from living an average life as a child. And eventually, her mother dedicated all her time to looking after her. Now, sadly, her mother passed away when Sarah was just 11 years old, leaving her to be raised by her father. She stayed with him until she met Isa at Bible class and decided to move to Newtby. Now, this is where the whole story starts to go a little crazy, so please bear with me while I try and explain this as simple.
One question. Was Newtby like an actual legitimate town, or was it just like a cult town and they just built houses as they convinced people to move in? I need to know. I gotta know. Let me know.
As possible. But Helga began to spend a lot of time with Isa. During this time, while Helga and Isa were spending time together, they were supposedly receiving prophecies sent by God. A file on Isa's computer confirms this, and in this document, it told of a prophecy God had bestowed upon her, and just this snippet pretty much sums most of it up. The prophecy said, "I am the King of Kings, and you are the Queen of Heaven. I had you in mind already at the creation of the world, and I have been waiting for you ever since." This translates to the idea that Jesus had been waiting for Isa ever since his birth, and she was to be wed to Christ himself. Now, amazingly, Helga also believed this, and in 1999, he was the one to officiate the wedding between Isa and Jesus. He bestowed her a ring with 7 diamonds, a holy number amongst many in the Christian and Jewish.
So she married Jesus? Oh, sweet baby Jesus. I feel like I'm gonna go to hell just for watching this. What? Okay. Oh, okay. Oh. Oh. Okay. Okay. To each their own. Long distance relationships usually don't work, but whatever.
Faiths. Now, this made Helene insanely jealous, which, by the way, in the church community of Newtby, was an emotion that was strictly banned for women. Isa told Helga that if his wife did not change her envious ways, the church would, quote, take her home, which was the cult's way of talking about death. Now, Isa's and Helga's relationship became even more strange after this. While Isa would shower him with love, praise, and affection, she would also control him and his actions. But Helga wasn't necessarily innocent either. He claimed he could channel Jesus through himself, and please Jesus' wife Asa through sensual massages and sex. And all of this tension surrounding Helga and Asa would finally erupt in December of 1999.
Basically, what it sounds to me is they was just bonking. I don't think Jesus was involved in that at all. What the hell? Oh, good golly, Miss Molly. Okay, so the crazy lady thinks she's Jesus's wife. The crazy dude thinks Jesus goes into him so he can please his wife. So he is her with Jesus. Damn. Don't watch this video. We all might go to hell if you do. Just stop. Just turn it off. Go to something else right now. Save your soul.
In the mid-month days of December, and as Christmas
If you're wondering why I haven't, I got red hair. I'm a soulless ginger. It's fine.
approached, a deadly sickness cast itself over the town of Newtby. Helga and his wife Helene had unfortunately caught it from their neighbours, as many of them had already fallen ill. Although the couple were bedridden, they were still trying to keep their energy up, doing this in the form of an old Swedish trick, warm oats and Coca-Cola. They had both finished breakfast, and while Helga could fall asleep, Helene was having.
Is that good? Warm oats and Coca-Cola. Can you use zero sugar Coca-Cola? I mean, I'll try it. I don't give a shit. I love oats. I also love cream of wheat. I don't know why. I get all giddy like a kid whenever it's made. It's like, oh, cream of wheat, yes! I'm weird.
Difficulties. A short while later came a knock at the front door. It was their neighbour, Samuel Frankner. The man was checking in on the couple to make sure they were okay. And although Helga managed to answer the door, Helene was nowhere to be seen. Asking Helga where she was, he replied with, "She's in the bathroom." But immediately after saying this, he had noticed she'd been in there for quite some time. So after realising her silence, the two decided to knock on the bathroom door. It was locked, and there was no answer. After several warnings, the two unscrewed the door handle with a screwdriver and barged through the bathroom door. And what they found inside was horrific. Helene was in the bath floating face down, her head underwater. She was still in her nightgown and had an apparent head wound. Helga was distraught, and in fact he screamed so hard that he alerted other local neighbours in the area. He and several others then attempted to perform CPR, but unfortunately it was already way too late. Helene was dead at the young age of 27. Investigations concluded that she had died from drowning, but it was noted that she had a head injury, and, strangely, a lethally high dosage of dexofen in her system. And although in hindsight it appeared that there was obviously some form of outside interference, the incident was ultimately deemed as an accident. Although Helga did seem to genuinely despair over the death of his wife, he was also very quick to remove all her belongings from the house. In fact, he even altered her autopsy report to remove the fact that dexofen was found in her system. Helga claimed this was to remove the possibility that she had taken her own life, as doing such a thing is classed as a sin. And apparently, he didn't want her to be a disgrace to her parents or the community. Following his wife's death, Helga was again very quick to find love with another woman in the church. And lo and behold, it was Isa's sister, Alexandra Voldo. By the spring of 2000, Alexandra had moved in with Helga, and shortly after this, the two married. But in true Helga fashion, he was still unsatisfied with a single partner. And by the spring of 2001, he had started flirting with his children's nanny, Sarah. You see, Helga was counselling Sarah and her husband, as the relationship was rocky at best. Furthermore, it didn't take long for Sarah's husband to realise that Helga was taking her side in almost all situations. And it's during one of these sessions that Sarah let slip that all of the feelings she had once felt for her husband, she had now felt for Helga instead. Unbeknownst to him at the time, but Helga often invited Sarah over to pray with him, where he often convinced her to have sex. And, of course, Helga insisted that these acts were not for her self-gratification, but merely to send a message to God. I mean, honestly, who knows what he meant by that? But Sarah adored Helga, and his authority in the church led her to believe him strongly. It was around this time that Helga asked,
Is it just me, or is this getting diluted as fuck? Like, good God. Okay. I don't.
Sarah for the first time if she was willing to kill someone should God ask her to. Now, this is a strange question no matter how you look at it, but Sarah implied that God could fight his own battles instead. In tandem with this, Helga would also feed her strange statements like, "My second wife will be taken from me soon. God has told me that my perfect match is someone close to me. And God told me that if your husband is unwilling to divorce you, he will die as a result." The slow and steady feeding of fake prophecies and lies brought Sarah closer to Helga, and using his power in the church to aid him, he was known to be the closest singular person to God. He also claimed he needed Sarah by his side to help him fight his battle against demons. And despite having a wife already, he insisted that Sarah move in with him and his wife take care of him. And so, you can probably see where this is going, but Sarah left her husband's home, moved into Helga's bedroom, and Helga's wife Alexandra moved down the hall. Every night she could hear the two bonking, which they claimed was merely a healing ritual for the demons and illnesses that Helga was fighting. Moving 1 year forward to the year 2003, and Sarah had finally agreed to divorce.
You got them crotch demons and them little critters. Boy needs to stop dipping his wick and everything. I mean, he got some Jesus name will help him get rid of.
Her husband. And after that divorce was finalized, that was when the real manipulation began. Taking Stockholm Syndrome to the max, but Sarah was confined to Helga's bedroom. And to make things even worse, Helga was one of the only people she was allowed to speak to. In Helga's mind, Sarah now belonged to him. He would mold her into the exact shape and size that he wanted. Someone who would obey him entirely, with no questions asked. He would insult her daily, calling her an arrogant bitch, unintelligent, a blonde whore, and a filthy sinner. But he would always finish off with an I love you to magically make things better. Sarah was always so happy to hear those 3 words, to know that this important, respectable man loved her. She felt grateful, even though he made her feel like a disgrace. During this volatile and manipulative time frame, Helga once again asked her if she was willing to kill for God. She again said no, but with less resistance than last time. Using a new and unknown number, he began to send cryptic messages to Sarah. The first message said, "Get it done before November the 25th, otherwise it will be too late for you." After asking Helga if he had sent her the message, he angrily denied it. Sarah apologized, and after showing him these messages, he convinced Sarah that God must have sent them. So, over the following days, more and more text messages found their way to Sarah. These messages talked about God's plan, sending certain people home to heaven, and how killing them was her only way to salvation. Helga further backed these up with messages from his own phone, persuading and twisting her thoughts to lead her to believe that she must kill for God. And on the night of November the 8th, 2003,
Are you fucking serious? What in the hell? It's one of those phone scams. Told you.
came the first formal request.
You can only believe if it comes on toast.
Although unsuccessful, Sarah received a message from God to attack and kill Helga's wife Alexandra while she slept in her own bed. Alexandra woke up to Sarah bludgeoning her with a hammer. However, she survived after fending her off. Sarah saw no punishment for the assault either, as Helga insisted it should be kept under wraps. Instead, he formally banished her from Newtby, and she was ordered to return home to live with her father. But still, despite being banished, more text messages followed. These messages further convinced her that murder was the only way to get into heaven, and that certain people needed to be sent home. With no mistress in town, Helga instantly began to have a new affair with a neighbour, Annette Lind. And, unsurprisingly, this is when another new name started to appear in God's messages. The new name on God's hit list was Annette's husband, Daniel Lind. Call her gullible, but Sarah truly believed that these messages were sent from God. And to add to this, she also wished for salvation. She was genuinely scared that she would go to hell should she not obey his orders, and therefore she had to try again. But this time, not fail. On this notion, Sarah began to yet again formulate a plan. She purchased a pistol from Stockholm before making an amateur silencer followed by God's instructions. And all in the meanwhile, she was further encouraged by Helga to follow God's will. And in the dead of night on January the 10th, 2004, Sarah jumped into her father's Volvo and set off for Newtby. On her way, she kept in touch with Helga, who kept her updated on who was still awake and when it was safe to enter the town. At 3:30 AM, Helga called Sarah to tell her that the coast was clear. Sarah felt nervous, but she was ready to continue with the plan. And at 4 AM, she parked 500 yards away from the Fossman residence, put on a black face mask, and covered her shoes in plastic, wearing one size too big to throw off any police trail. As Sarah approached the house, she pushed the front door open. The handle was conveniently broken that night. She made her familiar way through the darkness towards Alexandra's bedroom. Alexandra was fast asleep in her bed, unaware of her impending doom, and unknown to Sarah at the time, but Helga was even home too, quietly listening in, ready for his wife to be murdered. Sarah raised the gun, shot Alexandra in the hip, and, when she screamed, then shot her in the head. And with one of her targets now taken care of, she silently crept outside and began to make her way to the Lind residence next door. She was ready to complete the second half of God's plan with one more killing. Making her way around the back of the house, she forced her way in and started walking towards the main bedroom. Conveniently, Annette was away from home this night, leaving Daniel home alone. But the main bedroom door was locked, and not knowing what to do, she knocked on the door. As it swung open, Daniel Lind appeared right in front of her. Without hesitation, she raised the gun and shot him square in the chest, raising it higher for a second shot to the face, this one striking him through the side of his head. As Daniel fell to the ground, a commotion could be heard from within the house. They were not alone. The noise startled Sarah, and without hesitation, she turned around and sprinted out of the house, into the dark of the night. Miraculously, Daniel was still alive and even conscious enough to describe his attacker to police. He told them the assailant was a man, so it seems like Sarah did a pretty good job of disguising herself. Hearing the noise and wanting to appear innocent, Helga ran to his neighbor's aid, and once
Good night, Irene. What the hell? I mean, what in the actual hell? Never mind. I don't want to move to a little town. Nope. Gonna change my mind. Up that.
an ambulance arrived, he even accompanied Daniel on the way to the hospital. Just before leaving, Helga asked his neighbors to wake his wife and tell her what had happened.
Shady son of a bitch.
But of course, when they did, they were met with the grisly sight of Alexandra's bloodied body. Authorities immediately implemented roadblocks out of town, but with the assailant's description being that of a man, Sarah was let through without question. However, Helga and Sarah slowly found themselves in the spotlight as investigations progressed. Neighbors noted that Helga's previous wife was found dead under strange circumstances, and authorities became further suspicious when they learned that Sarah had previously attacked Alexandra with a hammer. With the room heating up around them, Helga immediately pointed the finger at Sarah, admitting to police that she had in fact attacked his wife before. It also turns out that Sarah wasn't even trying to evade the police, and instead, she had travelled back to her father's home for refuge. And soon after being located and arrested the very next day, the floodgates opened. As soon as Sarah's first interview began, she crumbled and confessed to her crimes. However, something didn't appear to be right. Sarah was very clear in highlighting that she had worked alone, that nobody had prompted her to do it, and that she killed in the name of God. But after authorities seized her phone, they found 2 numbers in her recent contacts. Of course, one was Helga's, but the other was an unknown number, the one she claimed was God. Drilling into Helga's wiretap revealed quite a lot. Annette complained about how boring it was to visit her critically injured husband in hospital, while Helga complained about arranging a funeral. However, it was one particular phone call between Helga and another member of church that would finally trigger authorities to bring him in for questioning.
Det här polisen håller på med nu då.
Ja.
Det handlar ju om att hitta en anstiftare.
Ja.
Vilket gör att Sara inte är skyldig utan är ett offer.
Okej.
Och det är så typiskt djävulen. För då är det Guds fel. Det är därför de börjar fråga om vår kvinnosyn. Det är därför de börjar fråga om vår slutenhet och det ena efter det andra.
Ja.
Och jag känner bara så här. Vi måste varje dag intensivt be emot den ande som vill vända detta till att bli en anklagelse, vilket det är mot mig personligen, mot Nettan, mot Tirsa eller mot församlingen som helhet. För det går ut på samma sak, precis som människor i alla tider har tyckt synd om Judas Iskariot.
Ja.
Liksom, för det var ju Guds fel, för någon var tvungen att göra det typ.
Ja.
Upon researching God's so-called phone number, it was found to have been Sarah's old phone number, which now was in Helga's possession. Authorities eventually found this phone stashed away in Helga's room, and here, the messages they found were astounding. Over 1,000 text messages had been sent to Sarah, all of which painted a haunting picture of coercion, manipulation, and deception. Upon hearing that God was actually Helga, Sarah was legitimately distraught. She honestly thought that these messages were from God, and upon learning that Helga was behind them,
That's why she don't believe it if it's on toast. I am telling you. God is not going to text you. He's not going to call you. It's not going to be toll-free, collect, 1-800, none of that. It's going to be on toast. I'm a firm believer in that. Just don't be like me and be a fatty and butter it and then eat it. Not even pay attention. Always read your toast.
the manipulative cloak holding Sarah captive was at long last lifted. With that said, she told investigating officers everything. The evidence was enough to convict Helga of soliciting the murder of his wife, Alexandra, and the attempted murder of his mistress's husband, Daniel Lind. Standing trial in July of 2004, he was sentenced to life imprisonment with the possibility of parole after 24 years. Sarah Svensson was also found guilty of murder and attempted murder. However, since she was determined to have been mentally ill at the time of the murders, she was admitted to psychiatric care indefinitely. Honestly, this case was a
I hate that she even has to deal with that. I mean, I get it. You fucked up. You killed people, but she was brainwashed, you know? Clearly, I mean, he even said, like, towards a little bit before the middle of the video, you know, the Stockholm syndrome, and that, like, he was, I mean, basically to me, that's he was brainwashing her to, and beating her down, not physically, but mentally, until only thing she had left was to turn to God and believe everything that he was saying, and that he spoke to God himself. And that is so sad that he did that to her. And now she's probably going to be in a mental institution for literally the rest of her life. He should be shot in the face.
strange one. Helge Fossmo was a manipulative and abusive man with a large ego. He was never happy with those around him and placed himself above others. He ultimately saw people as expendable and used them like pawns in his very own game. And in the end, this led to the death of one of those closest to him, and the attempted murder of another innocent individual. Although Alexandra is sadly lost to the world now, Daniel would eventually make a full recovery in hospital. However, after being admitted out of it, he would not return to Newtby or the church.
I don't mind him. Like, drop the mic and walk away.
In 2017, Sarah was released from her full-time psychiatric care, beginning a new life after being declared safe to be among the general public once again. She
All right. Oh, happy day. Hell yeah. I was really scared she's going to be in there for like ever. That's awesome. Hell
has
yeah.
made a remarkable recovery, and although Sarah is not entirely without blame, Helge was very clearly the mastermind behind all of it. Alexandra was always a warm individual who took Helge's children under her wing and tolerated his adulterous behaviour. Her death has left a hole in the community of Newtby, and her friends, family and town will always miss her. Hey again, and thank you so much for watching another video today by
I'm sorry, but dude should have been shot in his face. For one, you ain't God, bud. You know what I mean? Don't try to act like you are. Don't try to act like you is. Don't try to act like you ever was. You isn't God. And for the love of God, he was so cocky. He's like, I am Jesus's penis, and now I have to fuck Jesus's wife. I mean, literally, that's what it was. Like, one lady thought she was literally the wife of Jesus himself, and he's like, huh, Jesus goes into me and tells me to rub you down and put things in you. So, what kind of fuck shit is that? Whew. Hey, I enjoyed it though. This was an amazing video. Like, I didn't know where it was going with that. Damn. All right. If you all enjoyed today's video as much as I enjoyed today's video, please leave a thumbs up. If you're a fan of the spooky, scary, strange, deranged things that just make you go, sweet baby Jesus, think about subscribing. You'll see it at least 3 times. As always, be good to one another. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. As I'm telling you, God ain't going to get a hold of you long distance. It's going to be in toast. Read your toast, people.